Hey everyone, it's Dinah, and we are back with episode number 3 of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. And last time we had a pretty interesting kind of episode. Saw Jennifer going through the stresses of very, very brief unemployment. I mean, well, not brief. I think it did kind of happen like for like a few days if the kind of interview time lapses or anything to go by, but she went through the kind of the time lapse of unemployment of having been fired, because then her heroic nonetheless kind of actions as She-Hulk then did kind of sway the jury in her favor. So then her opponent kind of declared the case in mistrial, but then her ability to do that then got her kind of fired as a liability. And then I think it was Mr. Holloway, the guy who actually declared it mistrial, I think he kind of saw her as like a new kind of opportunity to open up like a new branch within the law firm and everything. So he opened up the Superhuman law division, and then he brought her on to be the face of it and everything. So yeah, so now she works for the opposing side, and she works as like there's the kind of, I think probably still as a district attorney, or maybe just like a private lawyer or something under that regard. So she kind of changed law firms, then she got a brand new office and everything, and even Nikki, her best friend and paralegal, was able to join her as well, so that was really cool. But yeah, we find out that her first case is serving Emil Blonsky, aka the Abomination. So that's less than ideal, knowing his history with her very, very particular family member, Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk, and everything. So yeah, Tim Roth returned. I mean, it was Tim Roth shooting. We haven't actually seen the Abomination. It was Tim Roth. Well, we kind of did and we didn't. There was a whole leaked footage thing of Abomination in Jarling's kind of underground crime fighting kind of ring thing, of fighting against Wong and everything. So that little kind of reveal kind of ruined the case in his favor, because then he claimed that he chooses not to turn into Abomination. He's gone down a whole spiritual journey, and he's no longer about that. So, him actually breaking out of prison in the first place, but then also actually being in an illegal underground kind of fighting ring kind of thing, also isn't really going to do him much favors. So yeah, but we find out that he is her first case, and then he's the first person that he is the first kind of case that she has to represent and everything. So I think her now being in the Superhuman law division, I think she's obviously the trailer kind of showed us that moving forward she's going to be representing all sorts of different kind of enhanced people and superhumans kind of in need of help and in need of representation. So some of them could be targets of hate or discrimination because of what they are. Some of them could be actual criminals and stuff with tainted past. I don't know, I felt like in that regard it's going to be an interesting series to explore what kinds of like species or what kinds of powers or whatever they really kind of bring out into the world and everything. And I think especially like with Asgardians here too, maybe they get involved in something, or they just kind of get crawling across fire, or all sorts of different kind of enhanced peoples from all walks of life. So yeah, it's going to be fun to see where it takes us in that regard. So yeah, but by the end, I think her case was made that much more complicated by the Blonsky having broken out and having been revealed to actually kind of taken part in those kinds of activities. So it's going to be that much harder to defend him in that case. So yeah, I think going forward we'll see exactly how that goes down. So that was cool. But yeah, we had Blonsky, we had Holloway, we had Nikki, we had Pug as well, like a new co-worker, Pug. I think he's probably like another lawyer at the firm too. I think he made them feel very welcome. He actually introduced himself firsthand and gave them like a goodies basket and like the most kind of eloquently drawn map of like the best place in the actual building to go to the toilet, but specifically for pooping, but then also probably just like for any kind of general kind of toilet needs anyway. So that was like a really kind of considerate introductory thing for him to do, so that was cool. So yeah, I think he's played by the guy who played Adrian Chase on Arrow as well, so that's cool. Going to be fun to see what he's like. And this, I think he already seems like a fairly kind of friendly face. It'll be cool to see how they further explore him and how they further involve him, and if he gets to work with Jennifer as She-Hulk and with Nikki as well. So it'll be fun to see where that goes. So that's cool. We also met the family too, the kind of the Walters family. We met Jennifer's family, including her cousin. I believe his name was Ched. Was it? I'm pretty sure it was Ched, because the guy, I kept on cycling back through all different kind of variations of that name that kind of are names and aren't so much names. Like Chad is like a very ubiquitous name, and then Chud is less of a name and more like a term that you apply to someone who's a bit of a chud. And then there's Ched. So now we have probably our first Ched in kind of media or TV or whatever. So Yeah, and I think the kind of interesting kind of parallels of him having been promoted to manager of the Best Buy that he worked at, and then Jennifer having been fired from her law firm, so there was that. But then she made it back even bigger. So yeah, now it's going to be an even more interesting kind of journey to explore where she goes on her journey. And I mean, manager of Best Buy, I mean, I didn't exactly know what kind of a journey that entails. It's just dealing with people. And stuff in retail, so that's gonna come with stresses of its own and everything. So there's that. But yeah, we remember the family, and I think the dad was easily one of the more kind of noticeable kind of figures too, like him being very, very kind of, you know, like viciously concerned about about Hawkeye, but also more importantly his arrows. He was so concerned and so focused on exactly what happens to Hawkeye's arrows. Like does he leave them behind? Do they get collected? Do people know about it and everything? So he was very, very kind of concerned and worried about that too. So I think it might have been like the kind of slyest kind of references towards like I mean, assuming Hawkeye does take place before this too, you know, because then I feel like if he brings that up, then there's no way that they couldn't bring up because even if the arrow in the bridge minimized, like people would still bring it up as like that one time that did happen. So you know, kind of does bring up the question like if Hawkeye does take place before or after this. So there's that. But then there's also Shang-Chi too, because then the leaked footage is actually footage from Shang-Chi actually showing Abomination fighting Wong and everything. So I think that being leaked, I mean, that kind of takes place either before or like in some sense of conjunction with this. I think maybe directly before, maybe like a short while before or something. But either way, again, it directly parallels this and actually provides like a direct obstacle for Emil and Jennifer to have to actually tackle on their way to defend him in court and everything. So yeah, but yeah, that was the family, so that was pretty cool. And I think, was that it? I think we also had that. I think we also had the reference that I feel like based on social media reactions, I feel like not like many people actually caught onto it immediately. I think it was only really kind of after like the Marvel accounts and other people actually clocked onto it and said, "Oh, this is what that meant." I think quite a few people actually didn't really kind of like actually register or actually know what it meant until like afterwards, actually seeing other people bring it up too. So I think when Jennifer calls Bruce to actually inform him that she's representing Emil and all that kind of stuff, and like Emil kind of sends out haikus to all of his former victims and opponents and all that kind of stuff and everything. He even sent one to Bruce too. So that's cool. And then even Bruce being like, you know what, we let bygones be bygones. Like that fight between us was years ago. I'm a different person now, literally. So like I was actually referencing him, not just like any kind of changes in CGI or any changes in actual stuff like that, but then it was actually like actually them like actually finally referencing the fact that like obviously Hulk and Bruce were actually played by Edward Norton back in that movie and everything. So yeah, the slyest and simplest of references. So it was like a really, really nicely placed one. I think again for me, it mostly flew over my head too. So shows how well placed and how kind of well kind of written that reference was. So there was that. But yeah, Bruce is also away too. He's on the Sicarian messenger ship thing came back. The one that ran him off the road came back and it picked him up again. So he's headed back to Sakaar. So now people after that have actually theorized like Planet Hulk and World War Hulk and that kind of stuff. And also with them having introduced She-Hulk, actually kind of considering like maybe they're actually going to introduce more Hulks into the MCU now as well. So maybe he has to go back to Sakaar or back to another planet and actually kind of instigate that or bring that kind of story to life and everything. And I think even being asked about it, Mark Ruffalo said that he's more than happy for them to explore that storyline and to actually kind of bring World War Hulk and Planet Hulk and stuff to life and to actually kind of influence it into the MCU and everything. So I think he's just happy to play Hulk and he's happy to play Bruce Banner for as long as he can and for as long as Marvel wants him to. So can't blame him. I think looking back, I think I still haven't actually done like any kind of rewatch on the Incredible Hulk yet, but I think looking back, I think it's safe to say that personally I do enjoy both. I actually do like both, and I think Edward Norton kind of had his own differences with Marvel that then prompted him to leave and everything. So, but I mean, I don't know. Hopefully he can even look on this and actually kind of enjoy it to some extent. Either way, so I don't know. But either way, like personally, I've enjoyed both. So Mark Ruffalo to me feels like a pretty suitable actor to play the Hulk and everything, and to play Bruce. He does a good job in both. So yeah, we'll see where the Hulk himself is actually headed in the future too. So, and I think now we actually have Smart Hulk now too. So I think it'll be kind of don't know if Because I think in Ragnarok, they did kind of offer us Hulk with a bit more personality and a bit more sentience and everything. So I don't know if in the comics, like Planet Hulk and World War Hulk and everything is actually executed with that kind of a Hulk that's more sentient and more smarter and everything, or if they're just going to do it this way in this and have him actually turn into like a more kind of Bruce Banner driven kind of warrior and everything. So I don't know. Well, I guess if I probably need to check out the comics at some point in that particular run, and then also see exactly how they choose to influence it and adapt it into the MCU. So yeah, but for the most part, that is pretty much all there is, all I've gotten from the last one. So yeah, on to episode number 3 of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. Let's go.
Showing the Abomination participating in what appears to be an underground fight club after having escaped from prison.
They're gonna have to bring in Wong too, because he was his opponent. Like, Wong can testify that he actually was there and everything. Because then someone might try and claim that, or Emil might try and claim that the footage is doctored or faked or whatever. If it is, like, I mean, I feel like that's the only like way to introduce Wong in this, because then he was directly involved in the fight. Can't imagine anything. He might stick around for other reasons, but then I feel like that's the only way that they actually might bring him in. She looks so good. I mentioned this a couple of times since episode 1, but yeah, she looks amazing.
Extenuating circumstances.
Extenuating circumstances.
That this constitutes another crime and totally destroys your chances at parole?
What?
He's admiring self-fighting.
Who forced you to escape
Wong.
this insanely high-security prison undetected?
Wong.
Sorcerer Supreme.
Wong. Fuck me. Wong forced him.
Wong.
Wong. Just Wong.
His internet presence is a little chaotic.
Does he have social media?
Either a sorcerer.
He has social media. Is that? Don't tell me that's a dating profile. Or
Can you get to him?
Of course I can get to him. I sent a thirst trap.
a thirst trap.
With a bunch of books.
Oh jeez. So
You know, if Blonsky's telling the
does
truth,
sound
this
pretty
guy
hot.
busted him out of his prison. I know you can't wait to see Wong. I just want to make sure that you don't think this is one of those cameo type of shows. It's not.
You tell him, Jen. You tell him, Jen.
Blonsky. Just remember whose show this actually is.
You tell him, Jen. She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. Yeah, back to law.
Emil Blonsky, also
that
known
Incredible
as
Hulk
the
picture as well.
Abomination, in his upcoming parole hearing.
They took the Hulk's manhood away, but then they gave it to a woman.
Oh, Christ. Good animal. Oh, wow. Oh, they're doing this. Oh, they're doing this.
Heroes. I'm just saying, make your own.
Oh my god, they're actually doing this. Smash.
Put the Abomination away all those years ago.
They actually covered that. They really covered that. Just a bunch of man babies whining about female superheroes.
No, I can't talk to a 10 about embarrassing man stuff. She could be my next fiance.
Oh, gee.
Happy to not be involved.
Yeah, I think that's for the best, for everyone's interest.
He's been defrauded by an ex-girlfriend and wants to file a suit against her to get his money back.
Yeah. Bought her jewelry.
But why the Superhuman Law Division?
The girlfriend
Is she
in question is
superhuman?
a shape-shifting light elf from
Light
New
elf.
Asgard.
From
To be fair, I
Asgardian.
thought I was dating Megan Thee Stallion.
Sorry, you thought you were dating Megan Thee Stallion?
Megan Thee
Multiple
Stallion.
Grammy
Yeah.
Award winner megastar Megan Thee Stallion.
What part of Shapeshifter did you not?
Oh, she shapeshifted into Megan Thee Stallion?
I extracted him from the prison against his own wishes.
He needed
because
an
I required
opponent.
a worthy opponent.
He needed an
as part of my
opponent.
training to become Sorcerer Supreme.
Oh, that was to become Sorcerer Supreme.
That he not be-
So how long had that been going on for then? Because Shang-Chi takes place after the blip.
The parole board.
I'm not erasing everyone's memories, not again.
It's highly unethical.
It's also very messy, believe me. We'll send him to the mirror dimension.
The mirror dimension.
But no.
Shadow dimension?
Mephisto's realm. Send him there. Yeah.
Very well. What was the sorcery for strategy B?
200.
200,000? I am not a fool. No, it's more like 175.
175k?
$175,000.
Jesus,
House
you
in
got
parts of the country,
dukes.
Mr. Bukowski.
Yes. Hopefully Pug remains likable and he doesn't get, you know, tainted by... Whoa. Oh, yeah, she does... Oh, the light elf.
I'm gonna drop the case.
Wait, what? Just now? You
The
just.
truth is, I think somewhere deep inside, I knew. I gave those things because I wanted to. I was just embarrassed.
Is this the light elf?
Way.
No. Oh, it's the light elf. It's the light elf. Oh, she transformed into Dennis. Yeah.
Security! I love harassing women in the workplace.
Oh no. Oh, she transformed.
I don't. You guys know me.
Oh, dearie me. Oh, gosh. That light elf is going to cause so much mischief. Which kind of makes sense. I mean, her shapeshifting does look eerily like Loki's as well.
Is it true you were rejected by the Avengers?
No.
Also known as She-Hulk.
There is no Avengers.
By the Avengers.
There's no Avengers to be rejected by. They're not a thing yet. Well, the new ones aren't a thing yet. The old ones are gone, mostly. Jesus.
Are those your soulmates?
Oh, yeah.
The seven. Oh, they're actually. Oh, they're the seven soulmates. They're actually spiritual-looking ladies.
Great remorse, great shame to those that I've harmed. So to answer your question, yes, I feel I have been rehabilitated. Emotionally, physically, metaphysically, spiritually, karmically, cosmically, interdimensionally,
Etc.
all the schlees. Yeah.
Blonsky does own a plot of land on which he plans to work and reside.
He still owns that, even in prison?
Farming. He plans to open a meditation retreat on the property.
Ah.
Which is very...
Spread his spirituality.
Pen pals, all of whom have pledged to financially support him.
Oh, they're all gonna give him money.
they are my better eights.
The better eights.
Love you.
Oh, sweet.
Library is more than just a quiet place to ship someone.
Instead of toilet wine, prisoners make toilet kombucha.
I release you, Linda.
But we are not in New Asgard.
Asgard is not a place, it's a people. Therefore,
Thor's inspirational speeches are not admissible in court.
Your Honor, this case is very cut and dry. My client is different.
And when this is over, I'm canceling my Hollywood hookup subscription.
Oh,
There's clearly no
jeez.
vetting process.
So much wrong with Dennis. So much wrong with Dennis.
I've just received.
Oh god, it's the light elf again. It's the light elf.
Oh, come
It's
on, Runa. It's getting a little broad.
Oh.
Impersonating a judge is illegal.
I offered him asylum at Kamatage. Just truly lovely this time of the year. He was quite adamant he'd be returned and repay his debt to society.
Thank you.
Boom.
If I could just put your minds at ease.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Oh, is he gonna transform into Abomination?
Emil.
And is he gonna show them he's still sentient? Is he still sentient? Oh gosh, Emil, how does this help you? Oh, the spiritual pen pals are all very, very pleased.
As you can see, I'm in full control.
Oh damn, he is.
Intend to...
Is he wearing Crocs? I just noticed that. Is he wearing Crocs? Has he been wearing those this whole time?
We will adjourn for today and consider all of the facts.
They're not gonna let him.
Once a decision has been reached.
I have a feeling they're not gonna.
Let's get this man some clothes.
And as for Mr. Wong,
Just Wong,
Wong.
the sorcerer supreme, master of the mystic arts, leader and former librarian of Kamatage.
Yeah, just admitted to facilitating a prisoner escape, which is a crime.
I must depart.
Yeah, like you could arrest Wong. Like anyone could arrest the sorcerer supreme.
You're pregnant with the Abomination's baby, and you're flaunting a little baby
That's
bump.
who the father
Yeah.
God, Dennis Bukowski.
Oh, yeah.
Connecting the A and B story? Nice.
Nice.
He was convinced that she had a crush on him. The man
Of
is
course he
almost
was.
terminally deluded.
I'd call him gross.
Hey, would you be willing to say that under oath?
Yeah, to say he's the kind of guy who dupes women into relationships and gets obsessed with them, and he's just a creep.
Spent a lot of time with Mr. Bukowski.
Did he ever share his personal life with you, specifically his dating life?
Yes, he would. Prolifically and unprompted.
You wanted to know
How would you characterize?
Can anyone like duct tape his mouth shut for this? Only the witness really needs to speak. So
Self-absorbed, chauvinistic, conceited. He once described himself as a New York 10 and an LA 11. He nicknamed his office the Denisphere.
Objection. Relevance.
Mr. Bukowski, I remind you that you're not representing yourself here. And this is your witness.
yeah.
Dennis Bukowski is an almost pathologically entitled man. He would absolutely believe that he's dating the real Megan Thee Stallion because he is truly that delusional.
You tell him, Jennifer Walters. You tell him.
There's only one Megan Thee Stallion.
Hey, Megan Thee Stallion.
Do you guys think I have a shot with?
That was cool that we got an actual Megan Thee Stallion cameo. That was nice. Yeah. See, that's how cameos work. They don't they don't completely change the story or detract from it. They, you know, surprise you and stuff.
We hereby grant Mr. Blonsky's release on parole effective immediately.
Oh, he's got okay. Nice.
As a condition of his parole, Mr. Blonsky is prohibited from turning into abomination.
Oh, he can't transform.
Is ordered to wear an inhibitor in perpetuity. Any violation of this condition.
And
will result in
inhibitors. Oh,
his
damn! It's like a
immediate
biological
return to
house arrest.
Understood. Thank you.
Damn.
Thank you.
Like a literal bodily house arrest.
I'm in your debt.
I am forever She-Hulk.
Great. We have to take a break. When we come back,
That was
She-Hulk
one
shares
question,
her
you have to
diet
take a
and
break.
exercise secrets.
I'm sorry, what?
You know the news is still obsessed with women's bodies. Oh, they got powers?
Oh, wait.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, you don't have to worry, just She-Hulk.
Get off me.
Yeah, has he got a helmet? Have they got powers or just tech? Oh, they just have tech, don't they? They don't actually have powers, they just have tech.
Did you guys rob an Asgardian construction worker?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Poor Asgardians. Always just getting a bad rep in this episode. Thor fought the Hulk and still couldn't beat him, okay? Humans with Asgardian tech still can't beat She-Hulk. Hey! Oh, okay, that's some broken stuff, yeah. Fall back. Oh, jeez.
Thunderball, did you get it?
Thunderball?
I couldn't pierce that nasty green skin. Damn it!
Thunderball? Did he call him Thunderball? Is this a Megan Thee Stallion song? I've never actually listened to much or at all of any of her music, so I can't tell, but I have a feeling this could be. I mean, if they're going to include her in a cameo, then it would be cool to have her song be featured on the show too. Yeah. A dance party in her office with Megan Thee Stallion.
Oh, you are way more fun than my last lawyer. I will kill for you, Megan Thee Stallion.
Twerking in her office with Megan Thee Stallion. I mean, hey, you know what? That is freedom. That is freedom right there. Just twerking and dancing in her office with Megan Thee Stallion. Yeah, just go for it. Break it out. Yeah. This is her music. Yeah. So yeah, that was a fun one. That was really fun. That was really, really kind of fun. And not just with the Wong edition either. They called that out so perfectly. They called that out, and you know, people being here for very specific reasons very perfectly too. I think, you know, again, I think you know, because I mean, it's I feel like I feel like it's also just like a thing that I think people have very rightfully kind of identified with the MCU now as well. It's just like, you know, nowadays so many people are like are almost exclusively or at least kind of publicly kind of proclaiming their excitement for new stuff coming out solely because of a rumor, like rumors are like not even confirmations, because then that would be a spoiler, but then rumors alone of other characters showing up and having a cameo or having something to do, and then in the end I think for a lot of those kind of portions of the audience it just becomes about that, just kind of like an endless kind of stream of cameos, most of which would be pointless, and it's just it ends up like going from the chance to actually see like a new story from Marvel to then just being like, oh, I wonder who's going to show up in this, and I'm gonna go to see this person show up for like 5 minutes to talk or have like say 3 words or something, and then be like, oh yeah, my favorite part was when that person showed up and everything, and then it just becomes about the cameo. So then again, I think they're utilizing the fourth wall on this so bloody well. They're utilizing it so, because I think I feel like before this, the most common place for like, especially in superhero stuff too, I think the most common and probably the only place to actually have fourth wall stuff happen was Deadpool. But then even that one, I think he was very actively doing, and he was very, very consciously doing it and everything. But I think with that one too, I think the focus was slightly more kind of comedy. But with this one, I think, but because he's like a more kind of like a very more persistently and very more kind of instinctively kind of comedic character in his own way too. Like he's breaking the fourth wall just for the sake of it. But with this one, with this style of fourth wall breaking, I feel like there's just so much more self-awareness, and it's actually like with Deadpool is him constantly cracking jokes and making actual references and everything, like to the X-Men and the Avengers and all that kind of stuff, and it's him, you know, cracking jokes about it being like a whole other universe and all that kind of stuff. But with Jen, it's like her being self-aware, her directly interacting with the audience, and actually her kind of speaking out loud and having that show up in the episode. Like it's so much kind of smoother and so much more kind of polished on this show, which I fucking love. And I think again, Tatiana Maslany nails it. She absolutely nails it, and actually manages to kind of differentiate that from like it being like a typical kind of fourth wall thing, and actually kind of turns it into like you identify as a fourth wall break, but then if you actually kind of do like see what it is it's actually just more just kind of Jen kind of thinking out loud, or actually talking to the audience and stuff. And I think in those cases too, kind of calling out the audience, and actually and in terms of writing too, is actually Marvel kind of sticking. I mean for Marvel it doesn't fully kind of hurt them either way, like financially, because either way, whether or not people are coming to see the cameos or even the movies, I think either way they get money. So I mean, as a corporation, as a company and everything, they're not really that bothered. But I think in terms of like the quality and in terms of the actual reception, I think, truth be told, I think even if you are Marvel, even if you're Disney, I think truth be told, I think at least like you know, at least the people behind the scenes and the people who actually do work on these actually do want like their stories and their efforts and their kind of writing to actually be recognized, and to actually going to be kind of, you know, to be the focus when people are commenting and doing reviews on their projects and everything. So like to have them like even the writers themselves actually kind of calling out like the audience members ever so kind of discreetly too, being like, you know, so I know now now that you know there's a distinct chance that there's a significant chance that Wong might show up, because then he actually now has some relevance to the story. Now you're probably just going to be waiting here until Wong shows up and then be like, oh yes, Wong, Sorcerer Supreme and all that kind of stuff. But then, you know, her being like, you know, this isn't a cameo show, this is a TV show, and it's a superhero show, so just remember who show this actually, like her actually capping it off with that too, like just remember who show this actually is. It's not just like a like I mean, even her being like, you know, okay, I mean, sure, there have been some weekly cameos like Bruce and Blonsky and then Wong in this episode too. And I think even story-wise too, I think like a fairly significant portion of episode 1 was, I mean, yeah, I guess a fairly significant portion of episode 1 was also quite cleverly kind of written to surround Captain America and his history, and Steve Rogers and his history and all that kind of stuff too. And then Tony and like Bruce kind of having the moment they did. But I think even then, I think that was also like that, like Blonsky, like I think that's what they've done so far too. It's the fact that like they've actually brought these characters in ways that are relevant to the story. Like Bruce is there to kind of help to help Jennifer, albeit like it being in his own, like based off of his own experiences too, and then not fully matching up to what Jen's been through as they explored. But he's still here to actually help her understand her Hulk side any way that he can and everything, and to actually be of service in that way. And then Blonsky is actually her first new case and everything. So again, these cameos I think arguably do actually still make sense. It makes sense. I think execution wise, I think that's also why it works too. Like it's not like a cameo just for the sake of showing that the character is still around, or the character still is. Like you would not, like there's no reason to expect Shang-Chi or Spider-Man or the Guardians or whatever to show up in this. There's no reason to expect them. You know, there's no valid reason to expect them. There's no reason for them to show up or anything. So those kinds of cameos where it's just like, you know, oh, just a friendly reminder this character exists in the MCU. You could have also done it in a way where they actually do contribute something to the story, so that way we'd actually have something to still talk about and actually value them for, instead of actually having them show up in like a reflection or some portal or something for 2 seconds, like just for social media clicks and everything. So again, the way they covered that in this episode was actually still really well done. And I think, again, fourth wall, like Jen's fourth wall, but I think, yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel like I think story wise, I do kind of very like highly kind of value and highly regard kind of Jennifer's kind of style and her way and her reasoning for doing fourth wall breaks too. And again, I think she literally doesn't do it that much either. I think she actually absolutely like does it when it's relevant and when it adds something to the story, and when she wants to can like directly contribute something towards the audience and everything. So it works. It definitely works. So, and of course, even actually kind of addressing in that way too, like you know, like her being, I think her being like, you know, like, just remember whose show this is too, because again, like, I think in the trailer we saw the ending, the ending to the trailer, like Daredevil doing like a flip off the car and onto the floor and everything, and then from that moment on, it was all about Daredevil. And then I think Kingpin has also been confirmed for Echo. I think he there's been confirmation that Vincent D'Onofrio again obviously is actually coming back for Echo. So I think then that's also proof that he did survive kind of being shot in Hawkeye and everything. So there's that stuff. So then, you know, there's a significant amount of people kind of you know, very out and proudly kind of exclaiming like, oh, I'm only going to watch Echo for Kingpin. And then people also saying that like oh, I'm only going to watch She-Hulk for Daredevil because he's already the superhero. And it's just like, I mean, on the one hand, it's like, you know, should you deal with it? I mean, well, I think maybe audience members always have the freedom to deal with each other in that manner if they wish. Like, people can easily point out like, hey, well, friendly reminder, this is She-Hulk's show and not their show. But then, of course, there's a bunch of other factors that come into play. Like, people can still kind of look forward to whatever they want in whatever way they want. That's not exactly kind of harmful, but then it's also like fandom toxicity and all that kind of stuff that just kind of that only really kind of serves to escalate situations and does nobody any good. But then I think with this, them actively calling out people who kind of who quite ill, who also sometimes very intentionally forget the true purpose and the true meaning of a show too. Just an endless stream of complaints, but then also people being like, oh yeah, I finally saw Daredevil and he wasn't even in it for that long. Yeah, that's the whole point of a cameo. So yeah, either way, that was just one of the many kind of aspects of story and material that this episode covered really well, and I'm really glad they actually covered it and actually tackled it and everything. So yeah, again, the way they're doing this, the way they're doing like audience interactivity and the way they're doing story that actually kind of does reflect and translate and all that kind of stuff, and actually kind of gets kind of inflicted well onto these characters too, is really well done. I think the way that the story is written and the way that the characters are made to actually interact with the story, and even Jennifer being her and being She-Hulk, and actually her kind of having to interact with the day-to-day kind of struggles of being who she is and actually having to have the story kind of revolve around her in this way too. I think it's easily just kind of like, this is just becoming probably one of my favorite kind of projects of the MCU Disney Plus kind of series and installments so far. So, and a reminder, that's my opinion. So if you don't like She-Hulk, if this makes you hate She-Hulk, or if you're not interested in She-Hulk for any reason, that's okay. That's your opinion. You're fully entitled. You're even fully entitled to voice it too. But yeah, this is just my opinion. So my channel, my opinion. So yeah, and if you have your own opinion, the comments are open. You can voice them as long as you can be civil about it and everything. That's literally the only requirement. So yeah, She-Hulk. So yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. So yeah, but yeah, we had the confirmation that Wong did in fact forcefully break Cameo, and I think looking back, I think my memory on like the way this thing, I think I'm actually trying to imagine the way the scene happened in my head, because I think even in the movie we actually did see Wong returning him. I think I vaguely, because I think even the VFX they do for the portals too, like I think the portals aren't just kind of blisteringly white kind of beams of like circles, and like the portals like have the ring, but then on inside the portal, the effects like they actually do show you the kind of the clearest possible kind of image of the other side of the location too. So they actually do show you like where the portals are going and everything. So And I do vaguely remember something that like I do vaguely remember something that did resemble like a cage or like a cell. So I'm kind of like, there's then, and I think again, but then even in the movie we did see Blonsky very willingly, and I think he didn't talk in the movie, but then he because then probably because they didn't really get Tim Roth back for that one, but then just kind of showing that the abomination is out there and he's doing this and everything. But then he actually did willingly walk through the portal back in there, and I think Wong did actually open a portal, and there was good sportsmanship between them and everything, so he actually did willingly return him. So Wong showed up in this, and I think he was there to testify that he actually did forcefully break Blonsky out against his will, but then he also did actually willingly return him back. Because then the point being that the Blonsky was taken out against his will, which I think, I don't know how, again, we saw like Wong can be Abomination fight, like he did that in the cage. He actually used the portals to make him knock himself out and everything. So he actually, but then like how he would force him out, like I'm not entirely sure. Because then, you know, don't know if he. But like, cause then like under what conditions would he actually force him out though? Because I don't know if he maybe opened up like a portal in the floor, so that made him. Maybe if he opened up like a portal in the floor or something, and actually kind of dropped him down into the ring or into the kind of base where the underground fighting ring is, and then closed up the portal, so he had no way to return. And then he made him a deal like, okay, you fight me one time, you fight me once, and then, or I think even a bunch of times maybe. I don't know like how often they fought, or if that I mean, because there was only one piece of leaked footage, but then that doesn't confirm there's only ever been one fight, but then they only really discussed like one incident here. So I think again, one is bad enough. Him breaking out once and doing all this stuff is bad enough. So there is also that. So yes, it probably made the deal that like he fights him and then he lets him go afterwards too. So then Wong needed an opponent. He needed an opponent kind of worthy. He needed a worthy opponent to help him in his Sorcerer Supreme training. So I think that did ever so slightly confuse me for a while too, because then I was like, you know, but then Shang-Chi happens after the blip. So then at that point, you know, because again, when Strange came back, he did confirm that like in the 5 years that he was gone, Wong did actually get promoted. So I think probably within those 5 years, but then Shang-Chi takes place at the end of the 5 years and a while after everyone's actually come back and everything. So with that in mind, well, actually, I mean, we don't know how long it's been after like Endgame that Shang-Chi does, because then again, Shang-Chi is also like very like that much more uniquely independent from the rest of the MCU in terms of story and character involvement. So then, you know, but then we do see Carol with different hair than she has in Captain Marvel. Not Captain Marvel. Will be Captain Marvel, kind of. Also Endgame, but then also Ms. Marvel. We see her with different hair than the braids and everything, and then the super hot kind of kind of side swipe that she has in Ms. Marvel at the end of Ms. Marvel. That just slipped out, but it's not untrue. So we see her with different hair than she has in Ms. Marvel, and then I think Wong looks. I think Wong just kind of always. I feel like Wong always kind of wears like a similar, or like the same kind of color scheme, the same uniform and everything. So there's that, and then Bruce is human, and he still has his arm in a sling. But I don't think we saw the inhibitor in Shang-Chi. So yeah, so he didn't come up with the inhibitor until like the few months flashback in She-Hulk. So there's that. So I think there's no telling exactly how soon after the blip this took place, but either way he was promoted. Well, Wong was promoted to Sorcerer Supreme, so that did still happen. So yeah, he needed like a worthy opponent to help him kind of, I think, fulfill, or maybe even because I think there's also probably no like little chance that he's actually like you know, like fully complete with the Sorcerer training either, because then of course like him being Sorcerer Supreme in the wake of the blip would also probably be like a very, very sudden kind of promotion too. But then also like how many other sorcerers are left, and how many other worthy candidates for Sorcerer Supreme are left, and maybe others are just like, maybe it's like him kind of self-appointing him because he's the only other higher up kind of sorcerer left within the actual kind of, I don't know if you can call it a coven, or like in the kind of in the ranks or anything. So maybe like the others are like apprentices, or you know, magical padawans or something, I don't know. So either way, he got promoted, and maybe his training is still ongoing, and then he's maybe he's training himself, maybe he actually kind of wants to feel more confident in his own abilities, and then he fights Abomination. So that's you know, had that thing. So yeah, but either way, Wong broke him out. Wong broke Abomination out of prison, then forced him out and everything, and then made him fight. So he came to testify and everything. And then of course, then he like Wong's kind of thing being like, you know, like but then the actual kind of the cell court judges being like, well, you did just kind of admit to facilitating an actual criminal's escape from prison custody, so that by definition also makes you a criminal who needs to be judged. And then Wong just be like, yeah, I'm just gonna leave, I'm just gonna peace out, and just gonna just good luck arresting Wong, good luck arresting a guy who can summon portals at will just like that. So yeah, I don't know if Wong's got to be careful now. Like if he ever steps in front of authorities that recognize him ever again, then he's probably going to be charged. But I think, I think that alone does make it that much harder to actually arrest enhanced people with kind of special abilities like that, like people who just disappear before you notice they're gone, or just if you can do stuff like that. So yeah, I think in terms of using superpowers and enhancements to actually kind of to dodge legal troubles and to evade legal troubles, I think this episode did also, not briefly, but I think they did quite effectively kind of cover that too, like with the Light Elf and even with Wong too escaping custody. Like, I mean, to be fair, they never really threatened to arrest him, so that didn't happen. Like as soon as he caught wind of where they were headed with that kind of accusation, he did decide to just kind of leave, and before things actually escalated and stuff like that. So there was evidence the Light Elf stuff. Oh my god, that was just so chaotic. So yeah, but yeah, I think Wong has like a social media presence too, and I think I mean, given like I think that they probably have yet to explore dating on this because of like Jennifer dating and She-Hulk and everything. So there's that. So I actually can't wait to get to that stuff, because I'm wondering if, I mean, don't know exactly what Jennifer's gonna sexuality might be, like if she actually is if she is straight, or if she might be interested in like women, or just anyone really. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've yet to get to the dating thing, and from the trailers we know that there are men interested in her and her physique and her ability to be the dom that she is and everything. So we haven't gotten to that yet, but I think because of that kind of existence, and I think even this, like Dennis having duped himself out of like a shit ton of stuff because of dating and stuff like that too, and also his own kind of very, very kind of I figured Wong might have it. I mean, I also probably, I wouldn't discount Wong. I would not discount or even fully push aside or fully brush off like Wong possibly having a dating life, because I mean, I could definitely see him actually using his Sorcerer Supreme a bit like a status to actually flirt, or to hit on women or men or whoever he's interested in. Wong having a dating profile and like having a dating life, or honestly would be one of the least surprising things about it. Like I at least half expect him to actually kind of be someone who actually uses that to kind of flirt with other sorcerers or flirt with witches, or I would not fully discount him actually kind of using that to try and like actually to either get laid, or to actually try and find love, or to do something. But no, it wasn't a dating, like it wasn't a dating profile is my point. It was like a genuine casual kind of, probably like a social network thing or something. But I think it had like enough of like a social media kind of layout to actually be what it was. I like had like the profile picture and had like the description of him. I think he was like the master of the mystic arts and the Sorcerer Supreme, and like the former leader / librarian of the Kamar-Taj library and everything. So he had like a whole list of different kind of magical credits and different employment histories as well. Because my mind instantly flashes back to Infinity War when he had he had next to no money. Like he had like 100 or 200 like rupees or something, which was like a $1.50 as he kind of currency exchanged in his head. So then he couldn't afford any kind of New York food or like New York kind of sandwiches or anything. So then Strange offered to pay for him. So that, I think, again, I don't know how he with sorcerers you think they could probably make their own money, right? I think either the more kind of like either the riskier, more kind of mischievous ones can probably kind of ring portal their way into a bank and disappear like nothing else. Maybe even charm the camera so it can actually not pick anything up, and then they can just have like a shit ton of money. And then the question was still coming, like, well, where is it coming from? But then no, but then also like it reminds you of like how Sam and his sister couldn't afford the loans from the bank because of like him being an Avenger. Like I think him being an Avenger, despite the Avengers apparently being well funded by Tony and everything, like him being like an Avenger, or at least like a new Avenger, like he just had no actual payment from the Avengers and like goodwill and donations from people for saving them in world-ending events and everything. It was pretty much all he had. But then he still had actual and also being gone for 5 years too, he had no money to his name in that way, and his sister was struggling and everything. So there's that thing. It does make you wonder how the fuck he actually pays for anything. But then it's like, does he have can he magic up food? Can he do goodwill stuff? Like, Doctor Strange is still well known. Like, he's still, well, even if he's not the Sorcerer Supreme, he's still known as the guy who actually fought Thanos with the Avengers and all that kind of stuff. And then Wong helped summon the sorcerers and the other armies and everything. So they've both done their bits. They've both done their fair share. But then it's like, like, I think you don't get, I mean, you don't, do you get paid for saving the world? But then it's like, you also even in human terms too, if you're in the military in some way, then you get paid, and then there's probably other kind of benefits and stuff that come with it or something. I'm not entirely sure how that works. I mean, I've heard different stories about that, but that's a whole other conversation. So if you're in the military, then you get paid because then that's something humans can understand. Humans I think that's also like the whole point in there too. It's like despite having lived in a world with all these people and all these powers for so long, they still haven't actually they either don't want to, or they just haven't figured out how to actually accurately set up a system that actually does pay superheroes. Because then there's a whole vigilantism thing, and then people believe that superheroes and vigilantes shouldn't be a thing, and then they shouldn't be rewarded for what they do, and then others reward them for their heroism with simple thank yous and blessings and goodwill and all that kind of stuff. So it's a whole question. But I think with Wong, I think again, he has magic, so he has the ability to at least even shadily procure things for himself that he probably otherwise wouldn't be able to. So I don't know how he pays for almost anything, but he'd have to pay for internet and stuff to create the media, to access it, to check it from time to time, and to set up the profile and all that kind of stuff. You'd have to pay for anything. You'd have to pay for a phone or a computer. You'd have to pay for a bunch of different stuff for that social media profile to be possible, or maybe he'd probably hire someone else, but then even still you'd have to pay them. So I do not know. Somehow Wong has social media in the MCU, so that's our thing. So they tracked him down and everything, and they reached out to him, and then he lost track of time and showed up to the thing as a witness late. So there was that whole thing. But yeah, Wong has social media. That's the point I'm trying to make. So yeah. And yeah, I mean, speaking of social media, you know what else is beautiful about Marvel calling stuff out? You know what else is beautiful? Take a guess. Go on, take a guess. Them so vividly and so accurately calling out all of at least most of the crying, and so persistently just whining and crying and moaning about the existence of women and minority people in comic books, just in pop culture in general. Let's be honest, it's in pop culture in general, whether it's comic books, whether it's in movies, in TV shows, whatever. The moment they see a woman as a superhero, or like a queer person as a superhero, or like a person of color as a superhero, it's always just like, oh no, what's happening to all the straight men and the white men and the men and all that kind of stuff. So with this, them very actively, because I mean, so then even actually then pointing out that the very same people actually then in the very same kind of voices do rather unfortunately exist in the MCU too. Actually, men just suddenly for whatever reason, none of which are really valid if you think about it, complaining about the existence of a She-Hulk and actually complaining about the existence of female superheroes and stuff. So I'm not exactly sure, even with this show, I'm not really sure, until we really get much further in, exactly how much they're going to explore that too. If that's just going to be a one-off thing that they call out just to show it exists, or if they're actually going to explore what kind of impact they have, what kind of impact it has on She-Hulk, or at least within this story to other potential heroes too. So but yeah, I think again, I mean, it happens every time. Almost like a clock striking midnight. It's like the actors just wait for something like this to happen. So then they finally have something to talk about, and they finally have a reason to that they find worth using their voices for. Anytime like a woman is cast as a superhero, like a female superhero is actually brought onto the forefront of actually being adapted or something, despite people actively pointing out that okay, She-Hulk is an original comic book character. It's not like they literally did a funny or random gender swap on the Hulk and decided to make a female version. She's literally getting an actual comic book to Disney Plus series adaptation from her original comic book material, created or at least co-created by Stan Lee way back when. So all they care about is that they can complain whenever someone that they don't like exists in a medium of storytelling that they consume. So yeah, but then actually actively kind of actually pointing that out, and even I think actually calling it out for what it is, to like even showing the vlogs and the comments, like no more female superheroes, and even that one guy being like, oh, I have nothing against female superheroes, just go and make your own, just go be original and stuff. And so then anything they don't like and anything they just kind of don't like exploring, anything they disagree with or don't like is just instantly political and woke, and just any other kind of anti kind of buzzword that they can actually think of, and then actually just throw that onto the thumbnail, or throw it into the like the thumbnails they come up with for this shit is just. It's like look, again, it's gonna happen. I definitely am feeling like this is gonna happen. This is definitely gonna happen. So, yeah, but again, the fact that they actually kind of called it out and actually addressed it at least is still somewhat good. So, and I think, to be fair, I think that they are kind of ever so slightly laying the groundworks for dating too. Because I did very briefly catch it, but then I think there was also that one guy who'd said like, don't know about any of you guys, but I'd smash. So we're already laying the groundworks for their people, like probably predominantly men too, who'd actually. I mean, and again, I don't know. I mean, exploring who's attracted to She-Hulk might be more like easier to execute than actually exploring who Jennifer and She-Hulk are actually attracted to as well. Then, because I think maybe. Well, I don't know. I mean, that's a whole other discussion to be had. But because again, I think in the past, I think Jennifer has made it clear that the attention she's received in the past has not been nice and has been completely unwarranted and everything. So then, because of that, she might this might still overwhelm her and everything. And then, of course, like this might still kind of feel kind of weirder. But then I think don't know. I think. Maybe kind of showing men and women and just kind of people from all corners of life actually kind of being attracted to her and everything might kind of shine like a new light on things. But I don't know. But either way, I think again that scene was also purely kind of included for equal kind of measures of comedy as well. Maybe just even for like an ounce of relatability, which a lot of people have and are experiencing. So there's that. But yeah, I think just probably just laying the groundwork for actually exploring exactly like who She-Hulk still kind of managing to find kind of love, or even just kind of like managing to find casual flings even in She-Hulk form. So who knows what might happen? Who knows what could happen? So yeah, I think it'll be kind of interesting to look forward to. So yeah. So then we had the Blonsky stuff too. Back to the Blonsky stuff. Yeah, and his I definitely kind of feel like arguing his court case went kind of arguably well and everything. Like he definitely kind of showed I was also like when he was admitting remorse and admitting kind of shame and regret of the stuff he'd done, like part of me was like, is this him telling them what they want to hear, or what he thinks they want? Because I think usually when you get stuff like this, I think usually in stories, like I think it does end up going that way, because then they find that they say what's expected of them, and then they put on like an act, and then when they're finally released, they still secretly going to go on and do the stuff that they were doing before. So I think I was kind of like, is this going to be an act? Is this going to be a thing? But then they brought in the 7 soulmates, and they're all actually. I think I was like prison pen pal program. I literally thought it was other inmates. I had no idea it was actually, because I think I can't remember if he actually mentioned it was like to other prisons as well. So maybe like for whatever reason they're other prisoners or whatever. But prison pen pals. I think prison pen pals. I think they can also kind of be to civilians outside too. I think maybe. I'm not entirely sure, but then I like the prison pen pal program. I think like at first glance, I literally took that to kind of mean that he was actually talking to other prisoners inside, like other kind of enhanced people inside and everything. But no, this just turned out to be actual 7 other spiritual ladies with like white kind of dresses and little kind of flowery kind of crowns and everything, and all of them just could just completely enamored by him, and just completely kind of it's just like different 8s of him as he said and everything. So yeah, there were actually other just kind of spiritual women he'd encountered and discovered on his journey and connected with and everything. So yeah, so that was cool. So they came. I think they didn't. I'm not sure if they actually testified, but I think they were proof that he'd actually kind of been writing to them, and he'd actually been communicating with them, and he'd actually connected and all that kind of stuff. So other people, I think other people with it, like I think maybe in and out of the prison, he helped as well. Like I think that one guard who he helped do like a divorce or do like some kind of marriage issues, he helped out, and then another woman, and then like another person. I think a few other actual witnesses besides Wong too actually showed up, and then Wong was the last one to arrive. So yeah, and then of course Blonsky actually kind of very kind of in like a very kind of like he transformed unannounced. So that happened, and that got everyone worried, and then guards rushed in, and then I think the cell didn't break. I think it's still big enough for him to actually transform and turn into the Abomination too. I feel like now, I don't know, because I think obviously the CGI has changed too, like especially for the Hulk. So I think the CGI for Hulk, like back then compared to now, also looks very different too. But then I personally feel like they have very much been able to maintain what the CGI looks like for Abomination a bit more than the Hulk, because then I feel like maybe the Hulk might have changed more drastically too, but then with Abomination, I can't remember if they ever actually stated in The Incredible Hulk that Abomination and Blonsky were two different entities either, because I think Blonsky himself was already kind of still pretty kind of Blonsky back then too, but then I feel like Abomination definitely kind of amplified and enhanced what was already there too. So then he got power hungry and he discovered that power, and then he used that to destroy Harlem and to fight the Hulk and everything. But then Blonsky here still looks almost as big as Abomination back then, but with Hulk he still looks pretty big, but then he looks nowhere near as big as the Incredible Hulk back then too. Again, so the CGI is still very noticeably and very kind of vividly kind of different too. But then I don't know. It's like they've almost intentionally kind of kept the Abomination the same, but then it's like they still through the he transformed so that he's still in control. So even when he transformed, I think he still was able to, like, his face still looked like Blonsky, and he still talked like he still had his voice and everything. So he still said, like, as you can see, even in Abomination form, I'm still Blonsky. I'm still fully in control. I'm still fully in control of my mind and my body and my actions and everything. So then kind of does make me wonder what happened there too, because then if it did amplify what was already there, then that maybe means that Blonsky was in there the whole time. But then just to begin with, maybe he was angrier and more kind of more resentful of the Hulk for having what he had and for being what he was and stuff like that. And maybe he just kind of grew power hungry and power got to his head. But then he was still Blonsky inside, and he was just kind of given, and him being Abomination too, I think he was kind of transformed into like a more maybe like a more grotesque and more brutal version, like a more mutated version. Because I think with Bruce, he enlarges and goes green, but Blonsky, I think he grows like an extra rib cage, or like his ears start coming out like flaps, and he looks like somewhat different too. But then he looks more like a really bulky kind of elf or something. But then with Hulk, like he just looks like Bruce with obviously bigger muscles and like maybe longer hair and stuff, and just different that way. Like he doesn't sprout like an extra limb or any kind of bumps or little kind of gills or anything like that. He still looks like Bruce, but with Blonsky, I think he definitely changed. But then now I think either through trait, because then I think with Blonsky, I think with Bruce he merged the two halves, but then with Blonsky it's like I think he said he found spirituality. I think interesting too. I think Bruce didn't find spirituality. I think he found like actual psychiatric help and actual therapy and everything. Like he actually can manage to, like, I think what was it, like the psychedelic something? I think what did he call it? Like behavioral, like dialectic behavioral control. But so he had to actively learn how to actually control his behavior and all that kind of stuff. So I think the key thing for him was actually merging the mind of Bruce with the body of the Hulk, and that way he could actually maintain control and everything. And the Hulk's mind is probably somewhere in there, or it's probably gone or something, or they came to like an agreement or something. So yeah, but then I think there's been little to no confirmation or denial that the Abomination went through the same thing. But then Abomination was locked up. He was locked up. I think there's no telling if he was experimented on, but then he was locked up. So there's no telling like exactly how, or if he actually, like, if he gained kind of union between two kind of halves of his personas, kind of again I think it brings into question like if Abomination ever had its own persona, or if it was just kind of Blonsky's already dwelling kind of darkness kind of enhanced and given strength and everything. So but now again he's gone through spirituality, he's gone through self-discovery and rehabilitation, as he confessed and everything. So he's now cleaner and stuff, and he still fights. He fought to, I think he literally fought for incarceration again too. I think he fought Wong just to get the fight over and done with, and then he actually he volunteered and actually willingly went back into incarceration. So then he actually has kind of changed and he's reformed and everything, and he was willing to actually serve out the rest of his sentence and everything. So yeah, so Blonsky went through that. So then the final kind of the final thing they went through, the final kind of verdict they came to, I was looking for that, the final verdict they came to was that he would get parole, he'd be released on parole, but then he'd be prohibited from transforming into abomination, and to aid in that prohibition, I think probably exactly prohibition, to aid in that, to aid in him, to aid in that prevention, they would also give him an inhibitor. They'd actually kind of install an inhibitor. I think it would be cool if we could. I mean, well, I think we saw the inhibitor that Bruce came up with was a prototype, but he's out in space now, so he can't help build it. So I think it would be kind of curious to see exactly what kind of inhibitor they come up with, because then there's also the inhibitors from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like the Kree. They put inhibitors in humans, but then those ones were very, very deadly to remove too. Like we saw exactly just how much of like a tide turner Bruce Fitz taking out the inhibitor from Daisy's kind of neck was, because then that was attached to her cerebral, like her spine and all that kind of shit, and taken out the wrong way could result in all sorts of kind of deadly kind of stuff. So we'll wait and see exactly what kind of inhibitor it is. But either way, I think with Bruce, his inhibitor was by choice, and he actively wanted to control if and when he actually turned into the Hulk, just kind of general stuff like that. But then with Blonsky, I think Blonsky already has control without the inhibitor, but then with this is just kind of actual governmental control over his body. So then that's like literally the condition he has to go through if he wants to be released. So then that way the government definitively controls the. But then I mean, again, pretty much like biological or bodily kind of house arrest too, like him actively being prevented from transforming. I think maybe, or maybe it's like I think because then they would want to be willing and also able to kind of put him back into a cell if he breaks it. So then maybe it's like I think if it's an inhibitor, maybe something that actually does slow down. Maybe it's like it doesn't stop his powers completely, but then it slows it down. So then if he actually does try and transform or ends up transforming, then that kind of like chemical release in his body or something actually reaches the inhibitor and maybe sets off like an alarm. Like house arrest too. Like house arrest means that they will be alerted if you try and leave. It doesn't mean you can't. It just means that if you do, they will like we saw in kind of Ant-Man and the Wasp as well. Scott, like he went through the fence like a couple of times and everything, and then broke his house arrest and everything a couple of times, and then it means he shouldn't, because then if he does, then they can find him and then they'll be arrested and everything, but then he still can. So I wonder maybe if it'll work like that too. So then maybe if he does transform, then then that will kind of alert the authorities, and then they'll know about it, and then they can arrest him or give him strikes or something and everything. So yeah, maybe that's how it's in like an inhibitor that maybe slows down his powers, or maybe actually kind of like just kind of like sets like an alarm system inside his body too. So I don't know, but either way, that's the condition. So pretty kind of I guess just, I mean, they're giving him parole based on the progress he's shown now, but then the fact that they're still limiting his powers kind of shows that they haven't completely forgiven his crimes in the past. They haven't completely forgotten them. So that's still what he's being charged with, but then he's still kind of being given a limited amount of a very limited amount of freedom and everything. So I mean, again, knowing that, it does kind of leave you hoping that like maybe he doesn't end up kind of walking into a situation where powers would be useful. Maybe he doesn't, or at least he doesn't end up kind of walking into a situation where he's provoked, and then he has to turn into Abomination, or ends up being forced into being Abomination against. And that way, unless he actually has witnesses that can vouch for him, then maybe then it would still be passed off as him breaking parole and breaking conditions and either getting strikes or just getting sent back to prison. So I don't know, but I think Scott also. I mean Scott kind of got house arrest. Scott and Clint got house arrest because of like breaking the Sokovia Accords, and I also sided with Cap too. So then neither of them are enhanced though. But then they still use their own kind of enhancement tools to actually still break the Sokovia Accords and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so that's Blonsky's case then. So parole with inhibitors and stuff. So yeah. Oh, and then we had the Dennis storyline. Oh gosh, the Dennis storyline. I've never felt more exhausted by a character in my life. I just, I feel like the kind of the same audience kind of catered to by the social media call-out posts will probably also feel kind of fairly well represented by Dennis too. I think Dennis is very easily that kind of a character. Like, he legitimately thinks he can land someone like Megan Thee Stallion too. You know, like, I think, well, I mean, he was on like a he had subscribed to Hollywood hookups. He legitimately thought that he was, you know, like, well off enough that he could actually land like an actual Hollywood celebrity of some kind. I mean, way being Hollywood, probably like an actor or something. But then he's like, you know, like Megan Thee Stallion being like a musical artist too. I think he thought he could land there and everything. So he genuinely thinks that he's actually well off enough that almost any and all kind of female celebrities coming out of Hollywood or whatever kind of industry would willingly kind of, you know, enter like an actual relationship with him and everything, and they would be successful too, and that he'd be enough of a catch with his attitude and with his kind of mindset and stuff, and just the way that he is. He thought he'd be enough of a catch for that, and he was so sorely proven wrong, so beautifully proven wrong too, by his own attitude enough. But then also like Jennifer's beautiful testifying scene as so called for by Pug, and I think his name is actually Pugliese or something. I think the judge called him Mr. Pugliese or something. So that's his actual kind of full last name. So that's cool. But yeah, Dennis, I think he was duped to crap by an Asgardian light elf, by Runa the Asgardian light elf. So that was interesting. That was fun. So she was like she was a light elf, and she was a shapeshifter as well, so she could impersonate almost anyone. So yeah, I think it's like the more she did impersonating in this episode, like that. Not only that, but then it's like by the end of it, like you could tell, like because then she also just wouldn't really portray the characters in the exact same way. Like she'd portray them in her favor. So like we were like portraying Dennis going back to the office in the scene, but actually calling off the case and everything. Be like, you know what? I've had time to reflect and really think, and I'm just saying, you know what, it's just really not worth it. I don't want to go forward with this case. It's like a lot of money and everything. So her trying to call off the case with Dennis, and then Dennis calling on the phone a few minutes because then I figured with Dennis not only coming back in, but then Dennis acting in that way, I figured, oh, this has to be the light elf finding out exactly who Dennis's lawyer is, and then she's trying to impersonate him and get it to be dropped and everything. So it has to be that then. I think impersonating the judge was arguably funny because that one was instant. Her impersonating the judge was arguably funny, but then her impersonating Pug was instantaneous. I mean, her impersonating the judge was instant too, but then her impersonating Pug was immediate, like her transforming to him and then walking out the office and be like, oh, I like to harass women at work and everything, and just immediately painting him in a bad light, and then transforming back and being like, you have been warned, so don't mess with me. So and him having to reassure his female co-workers, like, you know, I don't, you guys know me, I'm not like that, I don't do that and everything. So that was that one. But then yeah, just the more time went on, she just kept on impersonating. But then of course, like, the more kind of hazardous one to her case was actively shape-shifting and impersonating the judge, and impersonating the judge and trying to sway the court kind of verdict and everything, and even swinging the gavel. I mean, she transformed like before she swung the gavel, so she still swung the gavel as herself, which didn't work out fully. But then, I mean, it made no difference because then it was still super obvious. Because then even Pug noticed that the light was gone from the actual client chair and everything, and then he realized, oh yeah, she does this, so she transformed. And then again, it's like the light elf never bothered to actively act out as if they were the other person. Like shape-shifting is one thing, but then actually acting as another person, that's like a whole other thing. And then she never actually went forward to actually portray those other kind of characters very, very effectively or very fluently. So it just kind of became more and more obvious as time went on. It became more and more obvious as time went on that the shape-shifting was becoming more and more desperate. It was actually her trying to sway and everything. So just it's so funny, just so fucking chaotic and everything. Just, you know, and I think even the magic with the shape-shifting does also kind of ever so slightly remind me of Loki as well. So I think her being a light elf. I mean, can't remember. I mean, I feel like we definitely kind of haven't really explored much of like the other kind of species within Asgardian mythology either. Because I mean, she's also from New Asgard, but then she's the daughter of like an Asgardian diplomat. I think he was from New Asgard, so that gave her like diplomatic immunity. But then them not being in New Asgard, I think it didn't really kind of help. So the magic that she has for shapeshifting does ever so slightly remind me of Loki, but I think that even then Loki was taught those tricks by his mother, who was a witch. So, and she was actively raised by witches too. So then I think maybe that kind of like raised by witches, so then witches can easily kind of train other kind of children and and teach other children too. So maybe even then, if there were light elves or elves of any kind on Asgard, then maybe they could have learned too. So we're just kind of within that realm of magical possibility. So. Yeah, but yeah, that's that. I think yes. I mean, I guess that we might deal with Asgardian entities and Asgardian mystical beings, and I was right. So that was cool. That was fun. It does make me really curious to see what other stuff might come up too, because then I also kind of do wonder if this series might get emotional at any point too, like if it might get emotional like in like actually kind of analyzing targets of hate crimes kind of way, like if there are, because then mutants, I think they've already very slightly hinted at mutants in Ms. Marvel too, so then if there are actually any people out there with powers, I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of explored the Inhumans thing as well, like and Inhumans and people with powers in that way being targets of like the Watchdogs, like the Watchdogs being like an extremist hate group and everything, and actually targeting Inhumans and targeting innocent humans, and Inhumans being kind of reported in and everything, and actually being targeted, something like Lincoln having been reported in by his kind of sponsor and everything. So there's this, it's been done, and even in TV before, and even the movies like X-Men have actually kind of very accurately kind of portrayed how mutants and people with enhancements and other kind of stuff have actually been targeted and by hate crimes and targeted in that way. So I do wonder if the show might go into that. I think it would be like an interesting and like a darker kind of corner to actually kind of delve into and to show how Jennifer herself kind of, maybe even how defending such a client like that compared to Emil Blonsky, because I mean Emil Blonsky was like a really cool kind of returning character to bring back into this, but then I think actually kind of showing her defending someone that she believes in right off the get-go, and actually making her defend someone that she truly comes to believe is innocent, and actually kind of just didn't ask for powers or just kind of even got powers thrust upon them or whatever, but then still was being targeted by other kind of extremists or other kind of anti-enhanced kind of peoples or whatever. So I think actually exploring clients and cases like that might also be an interesting kind of thing to delve into. So only time will tell exactly what kind of clients they choose to represent, or what kind of clients they can represent or anything. So it also depends on what kind of people are willing and brave enough to come forward with their stories and have themselves represented on the stand and everything. So, but I think that would be like I think if they're already laying the groundwork for mutants in Ms. Marvel, like through their existence, I think actually kind of helping, because I think they've done it in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and they've done it in X-Men, and then they've probably done it in like other kind of shows or products. So I think The Gifted is also like another kind of a show set in the X-Men kind of Fox universe too. I think, but that was before the buyout by Disney. So I think that one had mutants, and I think that one was focused on the X-Men universe and mutants and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know that they've actually explored it in that one too. But if they're really laying the groundwork for mutants by existence and by kind of power set and everything, and actually exploring the kind of potential kind of introductions for like X-Men and other mutant characters, and I think also again X-Men exist because like their influence and their impact on the world and then the societal kind of backlash and reaction towards them is as integral to their story as their existence and their kind of heroic kind of adventures and everything. So I think maybe if they can do both at once, actually kind of explore the existence through Ms. Marvel, but then actually kind of showcase the societal and cultural kind of backlash and cultural implications and everything in something like this too, and actually kind of showcase the whole kind of civil rights movement kind of thing too, like for mutants or for enhanced people too. So maybe that could be a thing as well. It's actually kind of showcasing exactly like, so then we've come to the point where, okay, so we definitely know, like, this is definitely a world where people know that powers exist, people with powers exist, and people know about those people, and events of all kinds have already happened, so we live in that world. But then exactly what is the kind of backlash to that, or what is the kind of societal reaction in kind of all shapes and forms, like positive and negative and grey areas and all that kind of stuff, and actually showcasing like She-Hulk being like a superhuman lawyer who has to actually defend another innocent kind of mutant or enhanced person of some kind. So yeah, because then again, the Avengers are superheroes, and like the Avengers are superheroes, and they are kind of glorified and actually kind of celebrated for their heroics. But then even then, they're heroes, like they're known. But then for the lesser known people, like for the average person on the street who gets powers and probably causes like an accident, or kind of loses control over their powers and causes an accident or something, what happens to them? Like who's there to defend them? Like, do people believe them? Are people afraid of them and stuff? So I feel like She-Hulk especially is the kind of show where you can actually portray that kind of a story and portray that kind of a case, and send some really kind of interesting and really kind of thought-provoking and very necessary messages too. So I guess only time will tell. So yeah. But then yeah, the Megan Thee Stallion involvement was not simply through virtue of Dennis himself believing that he was actually enough of a catch to actually land Megan Thee Stallion of all people. But then no, we actually got a cameo. I think we got a cameo through the video of her actually, of the Light Elf actually, of Runa actually impersonating her in video, and even actually showing off the shapeshifting on video. But then she was even in the courtroom. She was actually even in the courtroom to actually kind of fully. She actually kind of had a cameo in there as well and everything as well. So I can't remember exactly why she actually did show up, like if she showed up to kind of clarify her kind of position within this case, or to clarify that she had no involvement in this or something, because then she wasn't called up to testify. She wasn't. She was literally just on one of the guest benches and everything. So that was it. And then the cameo. Oh, the cameo at the end. The scene at the end. The scene in Jennifer's office of both of them kind of signing the paper, and then both of them just kind of just dancing and twerking out to music too. That was She-Hulk and Megan Thee Stallion twerking in freedom and in peace in her office to her own music. That is the kind of cameo I want to see. That is the kind of celebrity cameo, especially like a celebrity cameo too, because then that's actually Megan Thee Stallion. Because we know, we know a few things. We know Star Wars exists, but then whether or not the same actors play the same characters in the MCU is like a thing to be a thing. And we know aliens exist too. So movies and franchises, we know that exists. But then, yeah, I think Hugh Hefner, because I think Tony called Stanley Hugh Hefner in Iron Man 1, so I think that was like a whole thing. And then Elon Musk was in Iron Man 2, so that was a thing. And yeah, I think Lil Nas X, because I think Old Town Road was one of the songs that Katie and Shang-Chi played on karaoke in Shang-Chi. So I think Lil Nas X, like his music exists, so his music is. Then Megan Thee Stallion, like that's the first actual kind of proper celebrity kind of cameo in that regard that we actually get in this. So yeah, that post-credit scene was everything. That post-credit scene is exactly what I like post-credits to be, and exactly how I enjoy post-credits to be. And stuff, because I feel like I should probably put like a disclaimer, like, you know, I think even like the other kind of cameos we get, like it's like I never fully kind of disagree. Like I always still end up enjoying them, but then it's like, you know, like on the one hand I definitely do like prefer to be surprised by even those other kind of cameos that come up. But then it's like, you know, I think those I still like enjoy like seeing them, but then it's like it's still like their relevance to the story that I then kind of end up questioning, especially when it's characters. But with this one, this was literally just so much fun to see, and then clearly so much fun for them to do, and like a really fun way to include it, and like a really kind of fun reason to include it too. So then she gets involved in the court case, and then she's there, and then at the end she's still signing off the contract or whatever it was, and then her and She-Hulk actively just kind of dancing and twerking in the office to her own music too. That was just amazing. And then even She-Hulk actually kind of being so like just kind of just in fully just in like for full kind of amusement that Dennis of all people literally thought that he was actually dating Megan Thee Stallion and more people, but then actually like her actually being like an actual her being a stan, essentially a stan, but also like an actual fan of Megan Thee Stallion too, like her dancing with Megan, and then being in the end being like, you know, I would die for you, I would kill for you, I would do anything for you. So then that kind of being like the line where Megan herself actually does draw the line, so that was cool. But yeah, I think again that post-credit scene just absolutely cool. Just yes, absolutely yes. That was brilliant. That was amazing, and I think they're definitely post-credit scene, more post-credit scenes like that I would love to see and everything. So that was really fun. You know, so yeah, Megan Thee Stallion is in the MCU, and she danced in She-Hulk's office. So hell yeah, that was cool. And then the actual final scene was Jennifer kind of being attacked while walking to her apartment, I think it was, in the end too. And then she was actually attacked by other dudes who literally did confess to actually stealing Asgardian construction tools and construction worker tools and everything. So the one had like a helmet that was glowing, another one had like a what looked like a I think, I don't know if it's called a mace, but it's like when you have like the stick and then the chain, and on the other end of the chain is the ball and everything else going on. And just glowing tools and glowing weapons and all sorts of like actual Asgardian kind of tools and everything that they used to try and attack her and take her down and everything, which didn't work because then she I think she initially got kind of actually surprised and probably I think that kind of parallel to like that kind of parallel of actually her spending 5 seconds actually kind of being scared and legitimately terrified, but then remembering she's got power, so then she actually just kind of she hulks out and then actually kind of takes care of business and then goes her way and everything. But then her actually kind of like kind of does make me question exactly how close she's come to that ball, because then again her explicitly mentioning how close like trouble has reached her before in the past too, like long before Hulk ever came along, but then her actually like her having been in that situation or close to that situation before, but then now this time she has the actual kind of like the very lucky ability to actually kind of do what she does. And then of course that's the benefit of this being the kind of superhero story and the kind of sci-fi story that it is. But then I think it definitely kind of does kind of maybe kind of push the message that like don't be afraid, actually do try and fight back. But then of course like if you more often than not, if you do fight back, then your assailant will likely kind of get angry and actually fight back even harder, and then that can lead to murder and stuff. So I don't know, but either way I think it's most likely easy to agree that it is cool to see She-Hulk and to see Jennifer at least able to fight back and actually able to Hulk and everything and stuff. And she was ready to do it even back in episode 1 at the bar too, with the three guys with the guys that tried to hit on her and everything. So with this one, she's actively being attacked and everything. And even the van scene at the end too did show that that the driver did refer to that one kid as like Thunderball or something, and he actually did have like a device with like a needle or something that he actually tried to extract some stuff. So then I think might have been like not just an attack, but then because even then they literally walked into the fight saying like you shouldn't really kind of strut around with these powers if you shouldn't strut around with these powers if you're not willing to show that you can actually handle these powers and actually handle stuff. So then maybe like they were lucky enough to actually kind of get their hands on Asgardian tools and weaponry, but then they actually kind of want the power that comes with being like Hulk and stuff. So then they tried that, but then the kid couldn't get it because then he said once she turned green, her skin became impenetrable and everything, as Hulk's kind of one usually does. Like very few kind of Earth-based kind of weapons and stuff can actually kind of penetrate kind of Hulk level skin and stuff. So yeah, but I think maybe that could have been what it was. I think kind of curious to see if we'll see them again, if we'll encounter them again, or maybe encounter worse people trying to do the same thing. So I don't know, but either way. But yeah, I think for now that might be it. I think I've pretty much crossed off all of my notes and everything. I think from what I can think of, I think these are all my kind of initial kind of thoughts and everything. But yeah, this made for a great episode. This made for a great third episode. I think I mean I haven't really had the. I mean, I really want to. I really want to go back and actually kind of do like a more casual, more kind of relaxed kind of rewatch of all the individual Disney Plus shows and everything, and all the Marvel kind of stuff. I think I've only actually done it for Mandalorian. I've only actually kind of rewatched the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian off camera and everything, and that was really nice. It was a really fun experience, but haven't yet had the chance to do it for Marvel, so I really want to kind of get to do that at some point. But yeah, I think I know the kind of common trend is that the 4th episodes of each kind of Marvel Disney Plus show is actually the big kind of breaker and everything. So I'm probably gonna subconsciously kind of go into episode 4 knowing that and kind of remembering that. But then I'm not gonna wait for anything. I'm not gonna wait for no Daredevil cameo. I'm not gonna wait for no Daredevil cameos or other cameos or anything. I'm just gonna go into it knowing it's the 4th episode of She-Hulk and be like, okay, surprise me and impress me and give me some more quality She-Hulk content and everything. So yeah, who knows what the 4th episode might hold. But either way, I think again, yeah, episode 3 was still great. It was just still like a really, really funny and really enjoyable kind of watch, and really kind of nice kind of addition and everything, and really nice continuation of story and stuff. And again, uber cool Megan Thee Stallion cameo, so that was really fun. And just kind of Jennifer kind of getting her shit done as a lawyer, still managing to represent Blonsky and still getting stuff done, regardless of how kind of chaotic and all over the place this stuff was, and how kind of spontaneous kind of Blonsky's transformation and everything was too. She still got it done. She still managed to get him kind of parole and everything, so that was cool. So yeah, I think for now that might be it. For now that might be you know, everything that I kind of wanted to discuss. So yeah, that was She-Hulk Attorney at Law episode number 3. So thank you as always so much for being here and for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, then feel free to leave a like and comment on what you thought of the episode and what you think is coming up next on She-Hulk Attorney at Law. For those interested, full-length reaction over on Patreon, so you can go check that over there. And yeah, that is pretty much it. So until next time, bye bye for now.